Yes, let's go. Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back for a little bit of a Game Week 20 review, but also an early look ahead to Game Week 21. Oh, Maliki, 3 FPL legends. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Maliki, but Big Man's not with us tonight, so you're going to have to make do with 2 non-legends.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, G, so your Wi-Fi is a little bit shady right now. So we hear your voice. You're kind of like a frozen statue most of the time.
Let me come back on to 5G. I might be a minute.
Yeah. Okay, you can try and do that, mate. Go for it, and we'll give it a try because it might make the stream better over the course of the hour. So you try and do that, and I'll carry on chatting to the lads and ladies in the chat, and we will reflect on Trent Alexander's 0 points from the weekend, which I absolutely loved. So let's see what we can do here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being patient with us. Yeah, G is actually at Centre Parks at the moment, and he thought his Wi-Fi would be fine. But you know how these things work. Sachin says it's Gianni on dial-up. British says he's Premier in. No, he's doing his best. He's on a little family break, and he wanted to get on the show, as he always does. But it's not always easy, is it? I've just been recording on the Ranks FC podcast. So if you want extra football content, please always feel free to come and listen to my other podcast over on Ranks FC. And let's hear what your point scores were before we kick off. I had a decent week. I've still got 1 player left to play. I've got Chris Wood, who obviously has Wolves away. I'm on 78 points at the moment. Hello, G, you're back. 78 points, which was decent. And I'm just delighted to see all the Trent owners get their 0 points, to be honest. I got more satisfaction out of a Trent 0 than I did out of an Mbermo 19, I think.
Freddie in the chat has just said, Gianni is like Trent's defending yesterday. Static. Very good.
I actually think you're doing better than Trent.
Yeah, I mean, you've called that for some time. I guess we'll have a little bit of a breakdown on Trent, but Bradley came on and did so well that I'm like, with the speculation, don't get me wrong, Trent's going to start the next game, but you might start seeing some early subs.
Well, he won't start the next game, I don't think, because obviously they've got Carabao Cup and FA Cup. Does Trent really start the Tottenham Carabao game? I don't know.
I reckon he does, but then doesn't start the FA Cup.
I would be inclined to, on the back of that performance and the speculation, to leave him out. I'll be like, do you know what, mate? You're not playing very well, and you don't want to be at this club. Well, you can go back on the bench then, because Conor Bradley does want to be here and actually is better than you. So
he's a better defender, isn't he? And actually, he's really exciting in attack.
I mean, the only thing you could say, we'll wait to see whether Son actually is ready to play that game. I imagine he is, but Tottenham actually haven't had much threat down the left because it's been like a below average Son or like Werner, who is Werner. So even Trent might be able to defend against them to be fair. Maliki says Trent made Dalot look like Ronaldo. Yeah, it did make me laugh. Slot saying afterwards, like, it's not the speculation that was in his head. He was up against 2 really good players, Bruno and Dalot. It's like, mate. Like, yeah, they played well, but like, really? Like, is that?
Dalot hasn't taken anyone on since Amram's been in the post as a wing back, as a left wing back. Within the first 5 minutes of that football match, he took Trent on. Like, clearly, he knew. They was told you got to go at it.
The thing is, you haven't got Trent in your team because of his defending.
Yeah,
you've got him because of his output, right? And so that's different. And I just haven't been convinced about that either, because they're just like, well, yeah, he does do it sometimes. And don't get me wrong, like in terms of picking out a pass or sticking one in the top corner, he is as capable, more capable than any other player in this league. But I just didn't really see the upside of buying him. Van Dijk looked like he was absolutely fuming with Trent for the entire game and his performance levels. So I found that interesting. Obviously, Salah got us all points, but that doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, everyone's got Salah and made him captain, so it really didn't matter whether he got 0 points or 14 points yesterday. Peter Ugarte made all the difference in that match. Ugarte is going to prove to be one of the best signings Man United have made since Ferguson left. He completely changes what they're capable of in the centre of the park. He gets around. He gets too many yellow cards, which means he's definitely not an FPL asset. But in terms of like a team asset, Ugarte is going to be the heartbeat of what Amorim is building. So that's going to be really significant, I think. Paul agrees with that one as well. Get your points totals in so far, people. I am interested to hear your ranks and your points. G, how are you feeling about your week? I haven't actually looked. I'm just looking right now.
Yeah, will you tell me my points? I'm trying not to load any other windows. I think I'm low 50s.
You're 55. You got 55 points. You had a
with
few
cells to play.
You got cells to play, but Hall got you 2 points. Trent got you 0. Lewis, you got a bit unlucky. Got 2 with him. Enzo only got you the 1. Nicholas Jackson, I mean, he should have scored.
Oh, don't. We need to talk about Chelsea. Another game where Chelsea or Jackson had 2-3 good chances put on a plate to him by Palmer usually, and it's like you're trying weird finishes like outside of the boot on the out, and it's like, dude, just put your foot through it. Like, he's looking like the Nicholas Jackson from last season, the last 3 games.
He is a bit, isn't he? Yeah.
Before that, we were saying how great he's been and how improved he's been.
Not great timing because they could replace him if they wanted. So I think he should probably up his game a little bit if he wants to stay at Chelsea as their top choice pick. But yeah, his finishing was poor for sure. His decision making not much better. Chelsea in a bit of a rut at the moment, but Cole Palmer still untouchable in this game. He's just too good, isn't he? He's just fireproof when it comes to.
He only needs 1 attempt. Like, I feel like he's such an efficient finisher. I think back to even like the goal he scored in the Euros final against Spain. Like, he just come on and he gets a shot outside the box. He finds the bottom corner.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Corner, Cole Palmer. He finds bottom corners all the time.
Just strokes it in there, doesn't he? It's very nice. Luke says Chelsea want Gahey. Yeah, I actually did that story last week. I see a lot of people doing it now. They do want Mark Gahey. They do get him at discounted rate compared to everybody else because they have this buyback, which nobody else, or sell on, I should say, nobody else will obviously have.
How does that work? Do you know what that percentage is and how much that could be? Nice.
20, so 20%. So if you're looking at Mark Gahey is £65 million player, so you get 20% off of that to take him back to Chelsea. So you're getting him actually pretty decent value compared to what else you can get for that sort of price point. So they are looking into it. Not an easy player to get out.
So Chelsea get that regardless. Sorry,
it's the same thing. You get that included and as like a discount if you're Chelsea, as I understand it. So it is one to look out for. As I say, it won't be easy to do. So I did that story on like Thursday that Chelsea were becoming more serious about Gahey. It's always encouraging when you see Fabrizio Romano tweet about it a couple of days later. He obviously is not talking about my story, but he tweeted that Chelsea are interested in Gahey. So that's always nice to know that your sources are right.
Your new colleague, mate.
He is my new colleague. Yeah, Fabrizio Romano now at Give Me Sport. So maybe he did read my story and then he nicked it. But yes, we will wait to see what happens with that. Mate, I've just noticed that I'm up into the 700,000s, which is nice. I haven't been up there for a while. So that's good.
Yeah, and Burmo was brilliant for you, right? Like, when I saw Burmo's points, I was like, oh no. I knew Big Man had him. And then before even checking your team, I went, I think Dean's got him too. And I remember us having that conversation ages ago about you not wanting to buy Brentford players. And we were like, yeah, but Burmo's different. And you've now kept him. And a lot of people sold Burmo in the last few weeks, myself included. I bought Saka with the Burmo money, Burmo spot.
I had such a good time actually on Saturday morning here because on Peacock, which is the channel or the network in the US that has most of the Premier League, they have this show called Goal Rush. So they'll show a main game, a bit like Red Zone. They'll show the main game, and then they have the scores down the bottom, and it'll come up goal or whatever, and then they'll cut to the goal, and you'll see the goal in pretty much real time. It's great.
It's soccer Saturday, but with the goals.
It literally that's what you're looking at, right? And so, me and Dylan were in here, and we the main game was Man City against West Ham. And I was talking about my fantasy team with him because he loves to know like who I want to score in the other games. And I said, the one thing I really think we might get today is Mbeumo at Brentford. I said, so if he scores, we're going to go mad. Or he gets an assist. Mate, this room that I'm in now, so they've got a TV over there. We've got two little chairs. It's like the office / like TV / PlayStation room, basically. We were jumping around. I've never cheered Brentford goals like it. I can assure you of that. But he was loving it. He was loving it every time it came up. He was like, "Is it going to be him? Is it going to be him?" And most of the time it was him. So
Yeah.
thank you, and Burmo, for
19.
those points. 19 points. That's a big haul, isn't it? Away from home, when Brentford are rubbish away from home. Fortunately, Southampton are just rubbish. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, that was one of the big scores over the weekend. One of the big scores we thought we would see, and I'm doing this more for Maliki because he sent in such a generous super chat earlier. Maliki was really unfortunate because he captained Watkins, who should have had a big score in him.
He should. A couple of my friends have done this where they've brought in Watkins instead of Isak because they were kind of, it was a gamble, but like a bit of a calculated one in the sense that they weren't sure Isak would keep it up, the consistency, or that Newcastle would, and that Watkins had to come good. He's so close to being good, right? That is unfortunate, and that was definitely a result that was hard to take. I mean, it's hard to take for me too, because I had Luca Dean in my defence. And once Villa went 1-0 up, I was like, yes, that's it. There's no way Leicester come back from this. Like, Leicester don't score in this game. And then that goal rush show, suddenly we crossed back to Villa Park. And it's funny because it reminds me of a computer game from the old days when like you'd get all the writing on the screen and then suddenly they show you like what's happening, and you just wait to see who's in possession as the screen opens up, and you're like, oh, why have Leicester got the ball on the halfway line and they're attacking? And you're like, no, and I can't even see a chance they're going to lose this ball. A bit like Championship Manager-esque, really. Yeah, and so Leicester scored, and I was like, that's annoying. But yeah, that was a surprising result, I guess. What was the other surprises that we had at the weekend? Was there anything? Bournemouth 1, Everton 0. I mean, Everton are in big trouble, really.
That was. I think they had like 20 shots, Bournemouth.
Yeah, surprising they only scored the one, and that Brooks got it. I still think that Semenyo's looking like a decent pick. I think it's a matter of time before he comes back into the points again. So I would be keeping an eye on him, but Everton, just a disaster. I can't see Sean Dyche being in that job much longer. Brozier, did you see he started? Got half
score,
hour.
Couldn't they? They haven't. They've scored like one of the last 5 games. They've scored.
Hey, Calvert-Lewin's still fit. How amazing is that? But he can't score. He didn't start this game. They put Brozier in, but Brozier's been subbed after 30 minutes, and Calvert-Lewin's come back on. But you think if you'd have had Calvert-Lewin fit for like a whole half of a season, you'd have thought you got a fair return in terms of goals. Absolutely nothing coming. Andy says Everton can't score but can keep a clean sheet. Yeah, I mean they've had a good record for like draws, especially 0-0s recently, but that ain't going to keep them in this league. They've got to pull their finger out here, Everton, if they want to stay in the league. They've got tricky few games coming up: Aston Villa, Tottenham, and Brighton. And at the end of that spell, they might well be on the verge of that relegation zone. But as I say, I think that Sean Dyche is going to lose his job pretty soon. And that will be that.
Any managers being linked with that team?
There have been a few. Who's the main one? Give me a second, and I'll remember in my head who was the prime candidate for Everton. I've forgotten who it was that they were looking at, but it's the new ownership have obviously got their own ideas about what they want to do next, and it's not to continue with Sean Dyche, as I understand it. Shiraz asks, would I sell Colwell for Munoz? Yeah, I mean, I would, but that's because there's a bit more upside with Munoz. I don't think it necessarily gets more clean sheets than Colwell, because I don't think either of them are really in the market for that. It's just that you've got the upside of him getting down there and producing something. I mean, in terms of Palace assets, I mean, Eze's done well for big man, hasn't he? He's brought him in the last couple of weeks. I mean, Eze's come good for him.
The penalty takers, mate. I mean, Eze didn't get a pen, but this week, the penalty takers really came good.
They really so many paid penalties, off, didn't they?
And
Raul Jimenez with 2 pens.
Obviously, yeah. João Pedro gets a pen. We saw Salah get a pen. It was the week of penalty takers. But mate, Munoz, the underlying data is absolutely there for him. Like, he's going to start banging soon. He's the defender to go and buy this week, guys. And with regards to Everton managers, some suggestions in the chat. Maliki says Rooney. Luke says Moyes. China says Mourinho, which I must admit, I don't hate that. They've been there, done it with Ancelotti, Everton. Could they get a Mourinho?
Yeah. I don't think anyone should be doing that, if I'm honest. I don't think, I don't think Mourinho is the answer at this point. One manager we are seeing change is Lopetegui. Lopetegui's done and dusted, mate. I don't know if that's been. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but I know that he's done. Let's put it that way. So West Ham will have a new manager very soon, and let me just see. I'm going to check my. Yeah, I'm going to say, let me just check my text and see if anything else has come through recently. Hasn't come through, but yeah, he's done. Lopetegui. I thought it would be announced by now, but it hasn't been, which is a little bit surprising. I imagine you can't. I imagine like it's too well known now. Basically, going into that Man City game, it was like you could obviously lose that game. They were just sick of getting hammered. When they don't just lose West Ham, they get absolutely battered. And I think they were just like, look, we can lose, but let's just not get battered. They lost 4-1. Add that to Liverpool 5-0, Leicester 3-1, Arsenal 5-2, Spurs 4-1, Liverpool 5-1, Chelsea 3-0. Like, it is disgraceful when they lose, this team. And so, yeah, it's the end game now for Lopetegui, and he's done. And we'll see a new manager come in, probably only for till the end of the season is the plan.
That makes me think it's not Potter.
Well, they want Potter. I think it probably is Potter. He's not been particularly up for that agreement, as I understand it.
You wouldn't be. I mean, that's not a given.
So we'll see what it ends up being.
Yeah, okay. It could be. You think like could become an 18-month deal? You reckon?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, let's face it. He can't do any worse, can he? Like, he can't do any worse than that. So, if Potter gets the job, then I'm sure he'll end up staying. Lopetegui is 1-7 on at the bookies for the next manager gone, says Christian. Marco says, is Cunha back from suspension next game?
Yeah, because he was
he has the FA Cup
suspension, but one of them's the FA Cup.
Yeah. And he's on the verge of signing a new contract as well. So Arsenal did come with a little inquiry for Cunha to see whether he might be available. That still might be plausible further down the line. Look out for that one. But Cunha is going to sign a new contract at Wolves. So might get a new contract bounce as well as a suspension bounce from Cunha. So, yeah, don't be scared. I mean, if you kept Cunha, then you've probably done pretty well, to be honest. That FA Cup game works out pretty well, and he's only getting a short ban, which is definitely shorter than a lot of us expected, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was only a 2-game ban. Andy said, can't believe it was a 3. I'm pretty sure it was a 2, Andy.
It was 2, yeah, it was 2.
Wait, the new contract is there's a lot of raised eyebrows about that. Just explain why, if you're Cunha, you would sign a new deal. Because yes, you get more money, but you're also massively protecting the club by signing that deal, because Cunha is going to be available in the summer, or you sign a new deal now, and I guess there'll be a clause in that contract which will allow a team like Arsenal to bid 60 million or whatever, and Wolves have to let him go for that. Is that what we're going to see with this contract? Likely. Yeah,
basically. Yeah. There'll be a clause in there that means he can get out if the right offer lands. He likes being at Wolves. That's the bottom story. He's really appreciated what Wolves have done for him personally, and he enjoys playing there. And I think he feels that, like, under the new manager, maybe they're going to pick up a little bit. He quite liked Gary O'Neill, as I understood it, and actually had a pretty good relationship. They just didn't get the results they perhaps needed. Obviously, as well, he's like playing all the time. As soon as you go to that bigger club, you've got the competition for your place. That's a tough thing to do mid-season. And I think that it doesn't really make sense for somebody like him to move mid-season, go to a team like Arsenal where you don't know what your minutes are going to say. So he'll see it out. And I think it's a pretty good decision from him. And I think it's a very loyal decision, which you don't get a lot of in this day and age.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's interesting that he'll be... he's been the big fish in a smaller pond at Wolves, and his stock has massively risen in the last 6 to 12 months. And it's probably because he's been the big fish in a smaller pond. We saw him at Leipzig and at Atletico, where at times he was a bit part player, and he's thrived being the main man. And then you wonder, as he got his next move in him, he's not going to be the main man at an Arsenal. Is he going to deliver to the same level? I hope he does, and I hope we've just seen a slightly different player.
Yeah.
But we've never seen Cunha deliver goals and assists consistently, really, and he's now doing that. And he's an amazing FPL asset. The fixtures are rough at the moment, and Wolves have got a dreadful run for the next 4 or 5 weeks. But after that, I think it's around game week 25, 26, they go on again another really good 5, 6, 7 game run. I've got no doubt we'll all be wanting to buy Cunha back around game week 26, I think it is.
Yeah, interesting. Your Wi-Fi way better, by the way, since you've gone to 5G. So we're all good for this show. So nice one. What are people thinking, do you think, in terms of wildcarding? Like, what is the current vision on that? Because some people are probably getting bored of their teams. They're starting to tinker and play around with the app when they're bored to see what sort of team they could put together. What's your expectation of that?
Yeah, like that second wildcard has to be used in conjunction with your other chips. It's got to form part of your chip strategy. So whether you need a vision of not necessarily when using a wildcard, but more when you want to play your bench boost, because bench boost and wildcard are so good close together, because you can wildcard to make sure you've got a good 15, no dead spots, no injuries, no suspensions. And then with that, of course, that makes you think your free hit, your triple captain, and now the assistant manager chip. Now, the whole chip strategy, as always, is dependent on blank and double game weeks. The first big blank of the season will be game week 29. That's when the EFL Cup final is. So as soon as these semi-finals are out the way and they start next week, first leg, they're two-legged semi-finals, which is a new thing, I think. And when we know then what teams blank in 29, we'll then know what teams double later down the line. So in the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to know our chip strategies, or we're going to have a rough idea. But as always, I'm reactive and we can use wildcard whenever we want. But ideally, it forms part of that bigger picture. And in the EFL Cup, I mean, Newcastle-Arsenal is one semi-final. I think Newcastle over 2 legs could do that. But then imagine if we have Newcastle blanking in 29. Like straight away, you go, oh, I'm going to have triple Newcastle then. And then you look at who they're playing, and that's another team blank. There'll be at least four teams blanking in 29. So they're going to be 4 FPL relevant teams, I think. We could see teams like Chelsea blanking. Newcastle, Liverpool, like big teams blanking. So we might need to use a free hit in 29, or we might go into 29 saying, let's dead end our teams, use all our transfers covering us, and then wildcard out of it in 30. So yeah, it's up for grabs. Mark says Carabao Cup's always been 2-legged. Sorry, Mark, I lost that. I don't remember it being 2-legged, but yeah.
Yeah, it has always been home and away. It's the weird thing about the quirk of the semi-finals, and Fulham had to do it last season against Liverpool.
Oh yeah.
The thing is with Newcastle, they go to the Emirates first, and I think that's a good place to be right now. I don't think that's bad. I think this week to be going to the Emirates, the form that Newcastle were in and the shape that Arsenal were in, both form-wise and squad-wise, I think you can get out of there alive, and I think that's the main thing. If you can get out of there with just a 1-goal deficit, I think you're in a decent position to go back to St James's. I would love to see a Carabao Cup final of Tottenham v Newcastle. I mean, that game at the weekend between Tottenham and Newcastle was a wild one. It was so entertaining. And both those fan groups they're desperate for trophies. It would be so much on the line. I really hope that we can get some upsets across the Carabao Cup semis so that we get it. See. I think we might get it in one. I wouldn't surprise me.
We get Newcastle.
It wouldn't surprise me if somehow Newcastle managed to beat Arsenal. I struggle to see Tottenham beating Liverpool. I mean, they're down to the bare bones. They've got so much going against them. Okay, Liverpool weren't great at the weekend, but they're still way better. So I think
we don't need to rotate either, because all these teams are about to go into FA Cup matches at the weekend against teams. I think Liverpool play Accrington. Liverpool play Accrington Stanley.
Yeah,
I think Newcastle have a real gimme. I can't remember who they play. It's like Bromley or something, and it's like
Bromley, yeah. But then you've got like the second leg isn't for like a month. You got a whole month till you play the second leg. It's like a weird gap that exists between the two games. So yeah, we'll have to wait to see. CH says, has Harland got a new parent bounce? What do you think, mate, in terms of wild card, like we were just talking about? I mean, obviously Harland is scoring goals again now. He is the top scoring striker in the game. He's got 123 points. He's 30% owned. He costs 14.8 million. How do people weigh up that value per points, and like what what the upside of it is. If you want to do a wild card now and get Harland in, hoping that he's going to go on a streak, how do you weigh it up against getting like a Cunha for 7 million, Chris Wood for 6.8 million? What can you
same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What do you think? How do you measure up that?
It's like the value of a player. The high value players are always at a disadvantage because, of course, they're not going to deliver 3 times as many points as João Pedro at 5 million if you're Harland. But the value really comes into its own with captaincy. And captaincy is king in FPL. And the reason at the start of the season we're all happy to spend 50 million on Harland was we were captaining him more often than not. Yep. As soon as you're captaining him 50%, you then question if 15 million is worth it. If you're captaining him 25% of the time, which is what I think we'd be doing if we bought Harland right now, I still think we'd be going Salah most weeks, Palmer once or twice, and Harland once or twice. And therefore, he just ain't worth the money. Unless you think you're going to captain Harland every week, or more than probably 50% of the weeks, I don't think we can even consider Harland yet. But maybe you can. Maybe you look at it and go, I would captain him 3 of the next 4 game weeks, therefore I'll bring him in. But if you don't think you are going to, and because Mo Salah exists and Mo Salah is playing so well, I mean, the next 2 fixtures, we could very easily captain Alexander-Isak, by the way. He's scored in the last 7 FPL Premier League games. He is Mr. Consistent, and he's now got 2 good home fixtures when Salah's got 2 away fixtures. It's all about captaincy. And look, I've got no doubt we'll bring Harland back in, but not yet, I don't think. And they're about to go on a tough fixture. We've got Ipswich, Brentford, but then it's tough again.
It is tough again and it's that streak of games. I'm not saying that Harland isn't going to score in these games, but Chelsea home, Arsenal away, Newcastle home, Liverpool home, Tottenham away. That's 5 really hard. Like Man City still aren't a good team. Like Pep even said himself, it's like, no, we haven't solved everything. Like we've won a game, beaten West Ham. Like, let's remember that West Ham do just collapse. Like as soon as they go behind, like they are gone.
They had more shots than City, West Ham.
Yeah, and you know, Lopetegui might think he's a bit unfortunate here, but I don't. I don't think I could trust Harland really beyond those next 2 games against Brentford and Ipswich. I've only got a relative amount of confidence in them winning those games anyway. And when you consider, Isak's next 2 games for Newcastle, Wolves home, Bournemouth home, better fixtures. And Salah's got Nottingham Forest away, Brentford away, as good a fixtures as Harland's got. I just don't really see the upside of going there. If you want to really gamble and you're like, naturally, I'm going to go against everyone here. I'm going to say that Salah now falls off a cliff. He doesn't get the points anymore, and that Harland does get them. So I'm going to get rid of Salah. I'm going to bring in Harland, and I'm going to pad my squad out accordingly away from that. Then fine, you could try and do that, but it is a massive risk, and it's only worth doing if you really are chasing and you don't mind if you end up falling even further away.
The other option is, if you want to piece that attack, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg, but you're punting on a player that's not proven, like a Savio, or that's out of form, like a Foden. But if we look at the last couple of weeks, Foden and Savio, maybe you can consider them. Like, I might be selling Foden. I still think he's too expensive.
Yeah,
but Savio is a genuine option on the left-hand side, isn't he?
Yeah, Savio's becoming a better option. I don't think you're going to get many goals is the problem, but you might get assists. You did just have a comment saying, why does G still not have Isak? He does. G does have Isak now. He's brought him in, haven't you?
Yeah, I had him. My plan was always get him ahead of Spurs. I wish I'd got him earlier, but I went Jackson 3-4 weeks ago when it was like, oh, Jackson, the fixtures. Also, I couldn't afford Isak. It was slightly more expensive. I've got Hall, I've got Isak. I don't have the third Newcastle player yet. Mate, what do you make of Gordon and Murphy as a Newcastle midfielder?
Yeah, Gordon's got a knock, hasn't he, for this week? But obviously we've not got Premier League at the moment, so he'll be fine by the time we get back to action. I love his confidence in front of goal, and I fancy him to score more goals. Murphy, obviously, I think he's getting more of a assist contributor than the goals, but I really like the look of Newcastle at the moment in terms of how they're flowing. I know, and I said on the last show that I don't trust them in terms of consistency and actually putting together a run of results, but I did like what I saw at the weekend. I have to say I did like Solanke as well. I thought he took his goal really, really well, and it was a proper nines finish. As I've said before, like I still believe if you stick with Solanke across the season, you'll get a fair number of returns from it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with people doing that. Wazza, who is one of our members in the WhatsApp group, says, Dean, you know that's exactly what I've done. No Salah FC. Yeah, Wazza, you were in my head when I was just talking about that. He did indeed ditch Salah, and he got on the Harland train, and he wildly celebrated his goals at the weekend. Fair play, Wazza. He is playing a little bit of catch-up. He's not too far back, but he is trying to look to do something a bit different, and he's been weighing up that no Salah risk for a little while. So, yeah, appreciate that. Remember, you can join us in the WhatsApp group. We've got a good group of us in there at the moment. The Chasing Green Arrows Elite Club, as we call ourselves. Loads of chat going on. Wazza is usually central to it, along with Matthew Perry and Paul and James, and there's a couple of Jameses in there actually, and there's a load of us in there. So if you do fancy joining up to the WhatsApp group, you can go to the homepage now. You can become a member. If you join the top tier, send us your details. We will add you to the WhatsApp group, 24/7 FPL chat, and it's absolutely great.
Oh, good stuff. Dean, I can't see how many people we got watching, but I'm guessing they're all hitting the like button, are they? I don't want to load YouTube because my internet's so bad. But
yeah,
we appreciate your subscribes as well, guys.
Yeah, we haven't got many likes now. We've got 14 likes from over 200 people watching. So if you could just give us a like, just if you get a second, that'd be really nice of you. Let's start this new year well. We need to get to 10,000 subs. I mean, it's a travesty, really, that we're not there. We should definitely have. I think we should have that 100,000 subscribers by now, but maybe I'm just being biased. I want that little plaque behind one of us. Don't know who would get it. Probably you. But yeah, you'd have to travel. You're traveling so much, actually. You have to keep it in your backpack. Put the plaque up behind you wherever you're sitting.
Gianni, I'll keep it at Centre Parks. I'll have it either at a Premier Inn or a Centre Parks. Like just on
What's the weather like at Centre Parks today, mate?
Oh, mate, it is wet, but the forecast for the week ahead is like -2, -3, but sunny. So I'm really excited by that. It's going to be dry. But I've just left Rutland and Leicestershire, where I live. And actually, it was some of the guys in the chat, Freddie and Maliki, who text to say there's flood warnings in Rutland, and I've looked at it, and there's like people are being rescued from their houses and all sorts. So yeah, loads of floods. Hopefully, my house is fine. But yeah, it's been eventful in terms of the weather here.
Wow!
Bring on some sun, mate. I can't wait for the sunny summer.
Oh, mate, it's 21 degrees and sunny here right now. My wife just sent me a picture of her and the kids out riding their bikes around the park, not a cloud in the sky. So if you ever want to come over, mate, come visit us. Some people are saying that we've got like 69 likes. I don't know what's happening with my YouTube. I'm going to close it and open it up again. People are like, no, there's way more likes than that. I'm not sure what's going on there. But let me have a quick look. Yeah, 75 likes now. That's weird. Shiraz says 100 likes. That's the aim for today. Yeah, 100 likes and 100,000 subs. That's what we're aiming for here. Sigurd says it's -16 where he is. What are you doing, Sigurd?
Christ,
leave. You do not need to live in those conditions. Get out of there. Like, I can't understand what you're doing. What are you putting yourself through? Get out. Get on a plane.
Guys, let us know what temperature it is where you are in the world, but also where you are. So I want temperature and country, and we'll flash up as many as we can in the next 2 minutes. So give us your temperature and your country right now.
Oh my God. Nikolai says it was -25 here yesterday. Guys, you're blowing my mind here. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, it's funny. I've only lived here 6 months, and I can no longer accept that anybody has to be cold ever again. It's like, San Diego should be the busiest city in the world. It does not get cold. Like, it just doesn't get cold. It's crazy. This place should... People who are from here are like, oh, too many people are moving. It's way too busy. It's not. I can't see a single car driving past outside. There should be like a constant traffic jam outside my house. Just people trying to like... Just be better off like living in your car here than you would be like living in a house in -16.
I'm loving it. We've got people watching from all over, from Mumbai to South Africa, Estonia, -6, 32 in Cape Town for Paul, -2 in New York for Steve.
I mean, I love it. I'm just looking at all the places that people are in. Yeah, it is great to see how many people. It's so weird sometimes to think about where everyone is right now, like dotted. I wish we had like a little dotted map for every time someone logs in. You can see on the world where they're watching from. Watching you in your hotel room at Centre Parks and me sat in this little office in San Diego. Pretty wild. So thanks for everyone who does tune in.
What they're doing. What are people doing when they're watching us? Because most are at home, but so many are on their mobile on the go. So we have people. I remember once, Dean, we were streaming. We said, "What's everyone up to?" And there was like someone said, "Oh, I'm just driving my taxi in Mumbai," and you guys are on my mobile. On the
That's so crazy. That's so weird. Michael says, "Was it weird being in San Diego climate for Christmas?" No, not really. It was lovely actually. It actually wasn't that warm over like the few days of Christmas. It was almost sunny-ish, but so when the sun's not out, like the temperature does drop. I say drop, it was probably about 15 degrees, but like it's cloudy and a bit windy. So like it did feel chilly. Like I had a jacket on over Christmas and it gets dark at 4:00, 4:30 anyway. So it was actually quite nice. It did feel more Christmassy than I imagined it would do. Malachi says, I'm watching this on my phone with Netflix on the TV. I watched Netflix for the first time in ages yesterday. I watched a show called it's called Don't Die. It's this guy who basically
I watched it last night as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm only halfway through. The guy takes like 50 tablets. Mate, him and his son. Literally last night in bed. That's what I watched.
That's what we were watching in the lounge last night. We didn't watch anything. My wife was like, "Oh, I want to watch this thing called Don't Die about this guy that wants to live beyond 100 and is taking all this stuff." There we go. It's trendy. Everybody go and watch Don't Die on Netflix.
Did you watch it all? I'm only halfway through. I was going to finish it tonight.
Yeah, we're going to finish it tonight too, and I'm going to go and buy 50 tablets tomorrow and see how long we can live. Wow, we've not talked about FPL for at least 10 minutes. We should probably get back to it.
Should we see our team? Should we see our points from the so far?
Yeah.
There we go. Geddy says, we'll move on from the TV
Squid
chat.
Games,
But there's loads of good stuff
at the moment.
I'm also watching Mr. Beast games on Amazon. That's quite good.
Oh, is that any good? Is it?
Yeah, it's all right. It's very American.
Yeah. My kids love Mr. Beast, and we've got the Mr. Beast chocolate bars out here as well, which they're obsessed with. Right here are
chocolate.
Yeah, that's right. Feastables, they're called. I mean,
mate, Kirkes,
that was a great one.
Huge.
That was lovely. It's funny. I posted my team on Instagram, and I had 3 people message me the next day saying, "Thanks for posting your team. Had no idea who Kirkes was, but put him into my team." Basically, 3 people basically messaged the same thing. Like, don't know anything about Kirkes, but thanks for the points. It's so funny that people don't even know who he is.
I'll know a lot more about Kirkes next year when he's at a bigger club.
Exactly, yeah. It is funny that because we talk about these things all the time, we just take it for granted. But yeah, I guess if you're just like a casual,
Bournemouth left back,
you're not going to know the Bournemouth left back and the fact that he has a big upside. Yeah, so Kirkes points were very welcome. I brought João Pedro in. I was going to start Aina or Ahmed. And I was bottled Ahmed early. I was like, he's not going to get anything against Liverpool. I was going to start Aina, and then just before deadline, I was like, no, I'm putting João Pedro in. He's a forward, takes pens. I should just have him in. So he got me the 9 points. So
mate, Odegaard, if he'd stayed benched.
I know. Odegaard is done. I'm getting rid of him.
Apparently there's been a knock there, but even without a knock, he without Saka, that attack is lackluster.
He's rubbish FPL pick. I've messed up there. Odegaard is a rubbish pick, and for the next game week, next game week he's gone. They got Tottenham at home, so it's not a bad fixture, but it's just like I don't really see him.
Fixture.
I don't think I'd even have him in my team. If I picked my team now, I think I would bench Odegaard.
Yeah,
I'd go Ahmad against Southampton at home.
Yeah.
Like if you look at my players, I'd have Ahmad, Southampton at home, Salah, Forest away. Even though Mbeumo's got Man City, it is a home fixture and Brentford definitely scored that game. Definitely play him. Palmer's got Bournemouth at home. Wood's got Liverpool at home, but it's fine. Isak's got Wolves at home. Honestly, Odegaard, I don't think would even get in my team. I might just leave it.
I'm looking at maybe benching Jackson. At the moment it's Enzo. But if I replace Enzo with Ahmad or Murphy, then I might have to bench Jack. Yeah, it's mad. We're going to have benching dilemmas next week.
There are going to be benching dilemmas, yeah.
Palmer, Salah, Isak is a proper debate. Isak and Palmer got the better fixtures, both at home. Salah, but he goes to the City ground. That's a tough fixture. I'm on Isak at the moment.
Are you? Yeah. I thought I was going with Salah. I thought everyone would.
Well, they probably will, but let's see how good Forest look in defence tonight, and I expect they'll look good again. And I just think, yes, Salah will get points and Liverpool probably win, but one, Forest beat Liverpool at Anfield earlier this season 1-0. Two, even if Salah scores and Liverpool win, what's the ceiling in that fixture? Is it a 2-0 or 1-0? It's a tight game. They're not winning by 3 or 4. Isak and Palmer could both be part of 3 or 4 goal wins.
Yeah, exactly that. Just a quick thing I want to bring up. China says Bruno plays Southampton next. Surely big points. And I think on paper, you would be looking at Bruno Fernandes as a really good pick for the next game week. But here's the problem. I think that when you consider Man United and the way that they play, it's actually very similar to Fulham. And when you're looking at Fulham assets, both these teams have exactly the same problem. They are good when they play against the better teams.
Yeah.
As soon as they come up against a team that builds a wall, basically, and gets everyone to just sit behind the ball, they got no space to play in.
Wolves beat United recently.
They have no space to play in. They don't have the man that can take a risk with a pass, and they don't have anybody that can go and actually beat anyone to open things up. So what you end up doing is just kind of sitting back and trying to patiently play. It doesn't work. You've got too many errors in the team. So someone ends up making a mistake and you're losing. Fulham, Man United, exactly the same. So I am skeptical, actually, about Bruno being a good pick against Southampton because I don't actually think that game suits this Man United team. I think they're much better suited against better teams when they get more space to exploit. The Southampton are just going to go there and just try and basically get a draw. So I'm not really on board with Bruno being a good pick, even though on paper, obviously, a Southampton team that have only got 6 points this season looks like a gimme. It might not be. British says, I do like Ahmad, though. Ahmad's different because Ahmad is just much better value in the game. And that's why I would pick Ahmad against Southampton. I know it's gone up to 5.3 now. Some people signed Ahmad for as low as 4.8, 4.9. But Ahmad, I would say, yes, that is a good pick. Bruno, almost 4 million more? I don't think it is. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Right, let's just lost him. Sorry about that, everyone. I thought he was going to reply, but we lost him. CH got him at 4.9. Yeah, I think that was when I told you to get him, wasn't it, CH? So that was a good pickup by yourself. Abdullah said, I've got 1 free transfer, 0.4 in the bank. Should I sell Iwobi to Sa? I don't know necessarily that I would do that. Let me just double check the fixtures because Fulham have got West Ham away. I don't think Iwobi is a bad pick still. Yeah, I don't think I would necessarily do that. Andy says Murphy is a better pick at 5.1. Yeah, I do like Murphy as a pick actually. That's a pretty good game. Newcastle got Wolves at home, so I say Murphy could definitely be a good pick up there. Luke's given me a yellow card for time wasting. I wasn't time wasting. I was hoping G was going to reply. As you can see, he's having a few connection problems right now at that Centre Parks. It's nothing to do with the cold. It's just the reception that he's got there. Don't worry, I'm not going to start talking about the weather again. Zubin says best mid under 8 million and Burmo, Eze, Sar, Savio. If I was to rank him, I would say almost the order that you've done. And Burmo, Eze, Savio, Sar would be my ranking of those 4, Zubin. Yeah, I think that's where I would be. Steve says, would you bench boost in game week 21 with Fabianski, Rogers, Robinson, and Munoz? Who have Palace got? Let me just see who Palace have got. Leicester away. Oh, yeah, that's quite a good fixture. Yeah, I think I probably would. I mean, Fabianski probably not going to play, is he? So that's one problem with that one. But apart from that, it has pretty good upside. So yeah, I like that. Of course, there's drop a like for Dean smashing the questions. Yeah, appreciate that. Is Luis Diaz a sell or a keep? I say sell. I still prefer Jota, even though he's not getting starts at the moment. Luke's taking my yellow card away and giving it to Gianni. Thank you very much. Yeah, keep your questions coming in. We've got 10 minutes left of the show. Not sure if G's coming back or not. He'll definitely be trying. 100 likes we're on our way to, says British. Oh, that's very good news. Obviously, weird timing today because we are in a dead game week, basically. But we are reviewing and ahead of that last game of the week as well. You're right, G? Can we hear from you yet? Are you alive?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm back on the Wi-Fi, which means it's going to be really bad. But the 5G's gone, so hoping this works.
Okay, well, we can hear you. You were going a little static. Your picture quality is good when it works, but I'll anticipate you disappearing at some point. Do you have anything to say while you're here?
Oh, I would just to add back to that kind of captaincy debate, and I think it's the biggest decision of next game week because I don't think many teams need transfers because everyone's got benching headaches as it is. Of course, we would love to own a Bruno or an Anthony Gordon, but we have to also remember we don't have the FPL is not about getting a free hit team out every week. You have to sometimes think you can't have them all. And therefore, yes, I would love Anthony Gordon or Bruno in my team. We'll see my team in a sec. Maybe we can go to that now, but you can't have them all. So, yeah, I think my big decision is going to be captaincy. And I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that we go Mo Salah.
Interesting. Your team is on screen now. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, you had a few that let you down, 4 or 5, in fact. But you did get away with the Foden one. You got some extra points off of Foden when.
What do you make of him, mate? Because he didn't have the best of games again. Like I'm happy selling Foden.
Yeah, I wouldn't be hanging on to him, to be honest. I mean, I'd have probably got rid of him before the last game. But you've got 2 weeks of points out of him that nobody else would have expected. So at least you've got
Gabriel. I went bold. I was going to go either Foden to Gordon or Gabriel to Munoz to get the money free sack. And I've got rid of Gabriel. And I tell you what, I was very happy when João Pedro scored that penalty, but I'm all right going without Gabriel. I know Arsenal are going to be brilliant and I'll buy him again. But for the next few games, I think they're going to concede goals, 1-goal games. And Munoz offers such huge upside for the next wave of fixtures. I like the idea of one premium defender, whether that's Trent or Gabriel, and then rotating all the other sort of 4.5 to 5s. And I include Robinson in that bracket. Robinson, Hall, Munoz, they're great picks.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, Arsenal don't concede many goals at home, is what I would say. Don't they have two home fixtures next?
Spurs, though, North London derby's a hard one to keep it clean.
It is, yeah. I don't know. I've still got some faith in him. So I'm just reading the comments. Sean says, "Mr. Dean Jones, I think you owe Bruno Fernandes a massive apology." What did I say about Bruno? Did I say I don't rate him?
We said Ahmad's the best FPL pick at United, and I stand by that in terms of value.
He's definitely the best value pick. I have been harsh on Bruno before. I've actually said I think Man United should consider selling Bruno, and I'm like, the reason I think that is because I think that he's immersed in part of the problem that they've had over the years, and that's not his fault. It's just that he's been a constant part of it, and I think it's really difficult to get out of that mentality. You even see after Liverpool game, he's like asking about his feelings, and he's sad. He's sad because they've produced such a good performance. He never gets to see that on a regular occurrence, and I think for him to go somewhere else and not be in that mindset would benefit him. And I think for Man United to be able to sell Bruno Fernandes for good money and replace him in the squad would also benefit him. Is he really captain material? I'm not 100% sure. I think Bruno's been in and out across this season. I don't know if I do owe Bruno an apology, to be honest with you. I obviously liked his performance against Liverpool, but I don't think there have been enough occasions when I've seen that version of Bruno Fernandes across the past year.
It's a prime case of make your best player the captain, and that's not always the best thing for the team. The problem with Man United is they don't have many captain alternatives. They don't have leaders. I mean, Harry Maguire is the obvious, but again, it needs to be someone that's nailed in the 11. I mean, he has been part of the problem, but he's also been unfortunate that he's had so many different managers playing different systems, and he's so versatile. You do put him in wide left or number 10 or one of the two holding, and he does always give you a good 7 or 8 out of 10 as a minimum. He is so good, but he's in a dysfunctional team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's exactly that. So we'll see. We'll see whether he can show some consistency. British says Bruno's an awful captain material. Mr. Whinger, he does like a whinge, and he obviously has suffered a bit in terms of his cards that we've been seeing across this season. He complains a lot, and obviously his tackling sometimes leaves plenty to be desired. Last few minutes of the show, so get your questions in if you've got any. Luke's asking when Chai is going to be back. Hey, you spoke to Chai?
Do you know what I do? I do a weekly stream with Chai on a Sunday for Fantasy Football Scout. And
do you?
Chai is a regular watcher of Chasing Green Arrows on catch up. He doesn't watch as much live. He used to be in the chat a lot live, and we've had him on loads as a guest. We'll get him on at some point this season. So yeah, stay tuned.
How's his season going?
Yeah, good. He's around 300k.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. That's good. Yeah.
You just got a power. That was weird.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's only 2 minutes till kickoff, and loads are going to want to watch the Monday Night Football. So I reckon FPL Freddy's called it. With my dreadful Wi-Fi, my power cuts, we should say see you very soon, guys. But goodbyes for now, I reckon. Dean, does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine. So Wolves Forest about to start right now. Chris Wood is playing, so just go and get on the Wood train and see how many goals he can bang this season.
Most transferred in player. 900,000 managers bought him in.
I would love him to score today, just to give me an even better end to my week and see if I can get higher up the ranks, which I'm very happy with where I am right now. But cheers, G.
Sales masterclass.
Yes, you need a sales masterclass. That's right. Well done, G, for trying to get through that hour. You did well, mate. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back next Monday, I think. We'll take the rest of this week to watch the Cup football, and then we'll come back next week to fully immerse ourselves in a new FPL game week.
Sounds good. Thanks, man. Thank you for carrying me this hour as well. But thank you to all the chasers for sticking with us, all your comments. Thanks for hitting the like button and the subscribe button. And as Dean says, next Monday will be a big one, reacting to FA Cup, EFL Cup, and there's a Tuesday deadline. So we'll see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.